lights down. Hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of MGR Unplugged. We took a week break last week. It was Thursday, it was Thanksgiving, so we ended up not having an episode. And man, I'm catching my breath. I was just killing this fly before the show. We had a fly swirling around here before the show, and David and I decided to kill it just in case it starts kind of getting on my forehead or something. A la Mike Pence doing the Democratic debate or Republican. What was it? Presidential debate. Vice presidential debate. Anyways, how was your Thanksgiving, brother?
It's very normal. Well, not normal, but nothing special.
I spent most of Thanksgiving weekend actually at the track, at different racetracks. That was good. My Black Friday, I was at Apex Motorsports, this fairly new facility outside Phoenix in Maricopa. Very nice. We were invited there, me and my friend, and I had a whole day over there. It was very nice. And then on Saturday, I went to a go-kart track to practice a little more. Beautiful time, weather, everything. So it's very active. So we have a full show today. Obviously, as you can see there, we're going to discuss mostly Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, as far as the e-commerce sales and everything else. And then we'll get into a few more current topics with the economy and stimulus packages and maybe Bitcoin and gold and some of the things that have been very much in the news over the past, I'll say, week and a half or so, a couple of weeks. So, all right, let's start with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Amazon, surprisingly, or not so much, had great numbers.
Not surprisingly.
Exactly. Record sales. It looks like Amazon usually doesn't report numbers for Black Friday or Cyber Monday sales, but according to different companies, specifically in this case, I'm reading reports from Adobe Analytics, which is a company that we use ourselves a lot for analytics and stuff. They say that resellers on Amazon sold goods that amount to approximately $5 billion between Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
No, more than that.
No, that's just the resellers. Okay?
Oh, resellers.
Resellers.
Okay.
Now, Amazon global sales are what was that? $9 billion.
What's their definition of reseller?
A reseller is basically a third-party seller vendor. It's not Amazon products. It's not anything else.
But not necessarily reselling products, though.
No, it's just basically a vendor.
So they mean all right.
Yeah, basically
third-party sellers.
Yeah, and that already there is exactly third-party sellers, and that already there is a 60% increase over last year, which is pretty significant. I mean, remember that when they had the what they call the Prime Day, which normally would have happened in July, but this time it happened in October, I think it was. They already had record sales, obviously, and we were kind of wondering if these sales were going to take away from the Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that, because people were buying early things that would normally buy, for the holiday season. But it turns out that it didn't matter because they sold a lot on Prime Day, and now they're selling a lot, even more, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So 60% increase for resellers. That's good news because Amazon has been getting a bad rap lately about how they take advantage of resellers and they knock off their products and all that stuff. But obviously, by the numbers, still is a good source for resellers as far as increasing their sales. And but then as far as overall numbers, we don't have the numbers for Cyber Monday just yet. Again, Amazon doesn't report the numbers, so it's a matter of other companies trying to guess the numbers. But for Black Friday, we do have them, and that's $9 billion just on Black Friday, which is also a 22% increase year over year. So those are pretty good numbers for Amazon as far as just one day of the holiday season, when we still have the weekend, Cyber Monday, and then all the days into Christmas, basically. So, any thoughts on that, Mr. David?
No, it's just funny when you see these numbers. Like Shopify did $5 billion, I think, over the weekend, and then Amazon does $9 billion on Black Friday, and it sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but then you compare it to China on Singles Day, which just happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Alibaba alone, forget about the other marketplaces and the other, I don't know exactly what all those numbers were, but just Alibaba in one day did $70 billion in revenue.
That's the thing that is
So
incredible
when you
to me.
compare it, it sounds so crazy.
Yeah, well, you have a market of 1.3 billion.
Yeah,
consumers.
but also not all those people are buying, right?
Right,
China
like-
is obviously not as wealthy
Is
per capita.
Alibaba just for China?
It's
Or-
majority China.
Or
Singles,
is it all
Singles Day is a
Southeast
China
Asia
thing.
Right, I understand. But do they do like Black
I mean-
Friday started being a US thing, obviously, because it's our day after Thanksgiving, but it became a global event. I mean, they advertise Black Friday sales all over Europe and everything else. I mean, they kind of
Right.
globalized
But
this
Singles
day.
Day is uniquely Chinese. It's 11/11 because they're very superstitious in that
Right,
culture.
but do other countries near China or in Southeast Asia also?
I'm not sure.
do-
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to know. But yeah, I mean, 70 billion in sales is a lot. Specifically, when you look at China, yeah, they have 1.3 billion people there. Not everybody's obviously buying, but those who are buying quite a bit of. Their average purchase must be pretty high because in China you have these people that are super wealthy and some people that are super poor, and there's almost like no middle class there. So the super wealthy must be buying quite a bit.
Yeah. The interesting thing is China is very quickly becoming, especially on the wealthy side, the largest luxury market in the world. It's not there yet.
Right.
But I was listening to an interview, this is probably a month ago, with an executive at a luxury, actually, I think he was a consultant for luxury brands. And he said that most of these brands kind of expect that over the next decade, by 2030 or so, that about half of all global luxury brand revenue will come from China. So all the Louis Vuittons and the Gucci's and all these huge luxury brands, they expect right around half of global revenue to come from China in the next 10 years.
Isn't that incredible that I guess the Chinese are buying those luxury goods that are authentic, and here we're buying all the knockoffs that the Chinese create for us. All the fake,
Well, China
all the
has their
fake ones.
trust me, China has their fair share of fake goods too, but they the Chinese consumer loves especially American products, but
Yeah.
also whatever we consider luxury in America, they love it too, and they spend a ton of money on it.
But it's not just the luxury goods per se; it's the lifestyle. Like obviously Starbucks growth is being majority thanks to China these days. Obviously, we have hotels and resorts that are even owned by Chinese entities.
Even companies
Tesla.
like Tesla, I was going to say.
Exactly.
Tesla, I mean, Elon already said that all of their growth, basically, if you look at their units sold as far as cars go, they've actually kind of plateaued in US and Europe. They've kind of reached a saturation of the market. Now, they want to go further down market because their cars are still on the more premium end. They want to go further down market, and then they'll have more volume. But as far as the Model 3s and S's and all those go, they've kind of plateaued. They're not they're growing a little bit, but they're not growing like they used to, where they would double sales every year as far as cars. But in China, that's where all the growth is coming from.
Right.
Basically.
And
And he said,
he's
I think
investing
Elon
heavily.
said that, I mean, he expects something like a third of all Tesla cars to be sold in China in the next couple of years.
Right. And that comes with the fact that China is finally trying to clean up their air a little bit and start getting into more alternative fuels and electric vehicles and all that stuff. So,
I don't think they care that much.
well, they do at a certain level, obviously at the
The
factory level.
pollution in China doesn't. The problem is not the cars.
It's funny, but
it's the factories.
The factories, exactly. They do. Is like I was gonna say,
And they're
it's-
not regulating the factories.
No,
they
the
don't give a
factories
fuck.
are not for sure, and they're not even ready for that. But that's the thing, that they are starting to regulate more on the consumer side, on the road cars and everything else. But the factories are like a whole different dilemma, and that's another topic of conversation by itself, because that's one of the reasons why manufacturing in China is cheaper, just because they don't have to comply with any of those regulations, and they don't care basically. And that's anyways, that's a whole different conversation. But sticking a little more to going back to the Black Friday numbers, you did mention Shopify. Shopify obviously is a platform. It's not Amazon per se, even though they're competing with Amazon heavily, but it's a platform for I would say, small businesses overall to use to sell their products, which is kind of like being an Amazon reseller, but you sell through Shopify using the platform. And they also have record numbers, as you said, $5.1 billion in sales, even though the Shopify numbers are global, not US based. But majority of those numbers on Cyber Monday or Black Friday through Cyber Monday for that 4-day weekend are based on US sales, because again, it's more of a American type event. So that's also the largest increase for Shopify ever, as far as, and we know that Shopify has been, over the last 12 months, I mean, they've done a lot. I mean, they have partnerships with Facebook, with Walmart. I mean, they're like, now they're going to be integrating with TikTok as well. So that just shows how both sellers and businesses are also looking for an alternative options for them that is not just Amazon with their higher fees. They say, okay, we want more control, and we want to use a platform that allows us to basically compete with Amazon under our own terms, basically. So that's a good thing. I don't know. So you said Alibaba. Do Chinese people do any Black Friday sales or anything in their
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure. I think their Singles Day is November 11th, and so that's their Black Friday basically.
Yeah.
That's when they have all their big sales.
Okay. So all this is online sales, which we obviously been talking about this since, I don't know, since the summer during the pandemic. We said, okay, I wonder what's going to happen this year. Remember that we had these episodes about what's going to happen Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that stuff, how sales were going to go. Well, this is the answer. However, unfortunately for foot traffic, for the retail stores that are the physical stores, basically, foot traffic is down a lot. I mean, they were down like 50%, I think, or 55% compared to last year. And that's on Black Friday. And on Thanksgiving Day, which, as we know, I don't even know what store was open on Thanksgiving this year.
I don't know. I think most of them chose to close.
Yeah, I think
I know Walmart did. I think Target did.
On Thanksgiving?
No, they were closed.
Yeah.
When normally they're open Thanksgiving evening, but they were closed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that explains, because they said that on Thanksgiving Day, traffic at the stores decreased by 95%. Basically, I don't know, maybe some small stores had some kind of foot traffic or some special offers, but most of the stores, state restrictions, government restrictions, whatever, they basically didn't allow people to go out and shop. So they all advertised that they would be closed for Thanksgiving Day and then open Black Friday with a lot of restrictions too, which caused a 55% drop. So, but the thing is that consumers are still buying, basically. So COVID or no COVID, people are still want to buy, merchandise, goods, or whatever. So if they don't find the option to go physically to a store, they're going to buy online. So later on, when more numbers are available, I like to compare global sales, combining retail store sales and online sales, adding them up and seeing if we are, I'm sure there's going to be an increase in sales, but see if we can compare it to last year's or years before. Basically, before it was like maybe 60-40 or 70-30 in favor of foot traffic, and now everything is more online, but the global sales are still similar. Like basically, instead of me going to a store, I'm just going to buy online, but I'm not buying more or less. I'm basically can just adjust it.
Yeah, but I think total sales are going to be down. The total number?
Yeah,
it's going to be down for sure.
You think it's going to be down?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Because, I mean, when you look at numbers for online sales that are up 50% and 60%,
yeah,
and all
but
that,
keep in mind,
is that taken away from
e-commerce last year was 15% of all commerce. So for it to be up 50% is not that much relative to 85% that was retail.
Right.
So, yeah, e-commerce is now, depends on whose numbers you look at, instead of being 15%, is now 25%. So it's huge growth for e-commerce, but it's still not even close to...
It's huge growth of a smaller piece of the pie,
right,
basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Retail is still, despite the death of retail, all these bankruptcies, retail is still the mother in the United States. It's still the big one.
Well, but that's the point. If that's the case, then it's really bad news for retailers, because unless they have a pretty solid presence online, to compete with the Amazons and all that stuff, because Amazon is the big winner all the time. I mean, they've been the big winner throughout the pandemic. So if these retailers are down, I mean, and normally these 30 days roughly between Thanksgiving and
Yeah,
Christmas.
but you know, I mean, if you didn't have e-commerce already in 2020,
I understand.
I don't have sympathy. You know, you should have had e-commerce in 2010. If you don't have it in 2020, you deserve to go out of business.
Yes,
That's your fault.
That is true, and obviously the bigger companies, but even I mean, even Walmart didn't have a solid online presence until fairly recently, meaning a few years ago. Best Buy had to reshuffle the whole online e-commerce.
Yeah, but Best Buy is an example of a company who actually said this year that, you know, yeah, their sales are down, but they weren't hurt that badly because over the last 5 years, they've heavily invested in e-commerce. And because they did that, and then they were able to combine that with in-store pickup and the curbside pickup and all of that, yeah, overall sales were down. And obviously it wasn't the year they were expecting coming into the year, but they're not like at risk of going out of business like a ton of other retailers were.
And also they've adjusted as far as having less expenses. Obviously,
Yeah, of course.
When there's two ways to save money, basically. One is to spend less, another one is to save more. So if they are selling less now, but they are saving more, that also compensates, you know, the overall bottom line. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think this, but I'm not so concerned about the big ones like the Best Buys, the Walmarts, Targets. It's more the middle ground retailers that, like mall retailers that we're talking about. If people go to
malls are fucked.
Yeah,
Plain and simple.
I know
Malls are fucked.
So because all the anchors, if people don't go to Macy's
and then
they
department
go
stores.
on,
So there's types, you know, there's different types of retail. The department stores, the Macy's, the J.C. Penney's, I mean, Kohl's even. I mean, I don't even think. I'm not saying they're gonna go away, but they're J.C. Penney got acquired this year. What was the price?
Oh, nothing.
It was like a few $100 million.
Yeah. It was
I mean,
just
J.C. Penney is like used to be one
fire
of the
sale,
largest retailers, and they got sold
well,
for a few hundred
they've
million.
been having issues for years, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, if people don't go to the malls, to the shopping malls with the big anchors, whether it's Nordstrom, Macy's, or whatever, then the other little stores that are in between, those are losing a lot because they don't have a strong presence normally, or that's, you know, as big as the other retailers, and then they don't have that kind of traffic that is driving people to the mall. So I think those guys are in bad shape. So not just the malls themselves, which we already discussed many times, but also those small retailers that have all those stores that are niche stores, you know, in malls.
Yeah,
and
it
things
depends
like
on the store, but I think overall the malls themselves, the mall owners, the real estate groups that own those malls, and the department stores are going to be the ones that are the hardest hit. Especially because the department stores, I don't really know what the advantage of a department store is anymore. Because you have Amazon and all these online marketplaces, which kind of replaced or are a digital version of the department store.
Mm-hmm.
And then in physical, it's like, well, the stores that people like are the Apple store, the Nike store, the Lululemon store, the brand-owned stores. And so where does the department store fit into all of this?
Yeah, I mean, department stores were, they started because they were one site.
Oh, no. I'm not saying why they started. I get where department stores had their place in the past, but I'm saying now in the digital age, what is the main benefit of a department store?
No, it's like any other store. I mean, for consumers that still like to physically see the products that they buy, you know, that's what the department store provided, you know, and it still provides. I mean, I know a lot of people that are, you know, modern consumers that buy a lot of stuff online, but they still like to go to the store and see the product.
Right, but they would rather go to the brand store, wouldn't they?
Maybe, it depends.
The companies that have been doing best are the ones who have their brand stores.
Yes.
In fact, Lululemon this year continued to open retail stores despite the pandemic.
Right.
Why? Because they do really well with their retail stores.
That's a very exceptional brand as far as...
Of course it is. But, you know, exceptional brands are the ones that win in this world. Anyways, my point is, I don't think JCPenney is really going to make a comeback. Is my point.
No, I mean that's a very
or Macy's.
But you
or
have the Macy's, the
Nordstrom's.
Nordstroms, the Lauren Taylor already declared bankruptcy. I mean, there's a lot of them will just not make it, and it's just not worth it. Other ones are actually shutting down 50% of the stores in the U.S. So they go across the board and they say, okay, the least performing stores want to shut down, and those will not come back. But that's at the department store level. But you go to a mall and you see 20 little stores in between those big stores, and I don't know what's going to happen to those. I mean, their stores are selling.
Yeah, I mean, those were already getting hurt too. Like Brookstone was a classic one. Remember Brookstone or Sharper Image, or those went out of business, a while back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but again, it's about adapting. And I think a lot of those kind of niche stores just got killed because people buy that stuff online now. Now you have websites like Touch of Modern that is basically a digital version of Brookstone. And Touch of Modern is doing well, and Brookstone's out of business.
Well, yeah, but their Touch of Modern is more like my understanding is like a portal where they send traffic to other places.
But it's just a changing of business models.
Yeah.
Business model innovation matters too. And if you keep trying to force an old business model onto a new era where it doesn't work, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another piece of data that I was looking at right now when it comes to Shopify is, which basically applies across the board, but 2/3 of the sales came from mobile devices now, which is nothing new to us. I mean, we already see that for pretty much any type of e-commerce transaction or anything that is related to transactions on the internet, whether it's for travel or anything. But now the bottom line is that people are more and more comfortable performing transactions online as opposed to do the research on the mobile or something, but then ended up going to a desktop computer to actually put their credit card and all that stuff. Now, all these stores, and in this case, is Shopify numbers, 2/3 of their purchases happen through a mobile device directly, and then only 1/3 of them, like 32%.
I think it's the opposite now. I actually don't like buying things on my computer because the best thing about the phone is like with Apple Pay. Takes 2 seconds.
That's true. Yeah, the convenience of the payment.
I don't have to pull out a credit card. I don't have to do any
I
of
don't
those
think
things.
I ever.
Or obviously, if you're on Amazon, they have your payment info saved.
Right.
Obviously, it depends on who you're buying. Like with Shop Pay, Shopify has your payment info saved if you've bought at Shopify stores before. Mm-hmm. So it's just very convenient now.
Yeah. So and then the other thing I'm looking at is the average expenses or the average purchase value of consumers around the world for Shopify is around $100. For
I was looking. It's funny because they have their global. They had this tracker they always do every year.
Yeah,
and it was consistently. I looked through the whole weekend. It was typically around 1 to 1.5 million a minute in sales.
Yeah.
But then it peaked at 3.5 million. Mm-hmm. But consistently, I was dividing the dollars versus basically units sold.
Purchases, yeah.
And almost consistently, no matter how much was being sold per minute, it was just under 100. It was like $95.
Well, I mean, I'll give you the numbers. They have in the US, it was about 89. Well, actually, not about. It was 89.20. In Japan, it was 106.40, which I don't know because the economy is screwed up there. In Australia, and this is all converted to US dollars, so we're not discussing or talking about Australian dollars or anything. In Australia, it was 105. In Canada, it was 103. So, I'm sorry, the US was 92. Global average from all countries, it was under $90. So, yeah, it's very much in the 100 now, over and under.
That is, as much as e-commerce has progressed, that right there tells you almost everything you need to know about the state of e-commerce right now.
Right.
Because $90 being the average purchase price is pretty high. And the problem of e-commerce consistently is that because of the fulfillment necessities, selling low-ticket items, unless you're doing massive volume, just doesn't make sense. Because if you're selling something that costs, let's say $10 to fulfill an order, but the item itself is $10. So really you have to charge $20 for something that would cost $10 in a retail store. It just doesn't make sense. And that is the biggest thing holding e-commerce back from really exploding. And I think the solution to that will be the last mile delivery. As now, what JCPenney was rumored to be bought by Amazon, it didn't end up happening, but now you see like Postmates and DoorDash partnering with retail stores.
Right.
Like DoorDash partner with Best Buy now. Postmates is partnered with Walgreens and other companies. I think that's the solution, which is how do you get these lower ticket items? Like if you sell something that in a typical retail store is like $10 or $15, but because of the size and weight of it, it's
Right.
going to cost you $10 to ship.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to sell it online, and that's why you see average order values still that high. So that's where the innovation still needs to come in, and that's really what's holding e-commerce back, is that really to sell anything with less than like a $30 average order value, unless it happens to be something that's very small and light, is just incredibly difficult to be profitable. Anybody in e-commerce will tell you you should shoot for at least like a $40, $50 average order value, because that's how you find real profits.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing massive volume. But obviously if you're a startup, you're not doing that.
But the other thing, I was just looking at numbers again, and we just said Shopify numbers globally were 5.1 billion, and also it looks that the average order value or the average purchase combined from all buyers around the world is about 100, a little under. So when you divide the 5 billion by 100, basically you have like 50 million consumers that bought.
Well, that's the other thing.
But
e-commerce is still pretty much exclusively for upper middle class and
Right.
wealthier.
So
the lower middle class and poor people in different countries don't buy on e-commerce because
Right.
it's out of their price range.
And sometimes they don't even have credit cards to pay and things like that.
No, beyond that,
the,
I mean,
the
even if
cash
they have
consumer is
cards-
obviously not buying online because
Even if they have cards, it's just that things are more expensive in e-commerce.
Yes, they are.
You pay for that convenience.
Right. But the bottom line is that we're talking global sales, worldwide sales of 50 million consumers buying online on Shopify compared to what you just said for Alibaba. I mean, to sell 70 billion just in one country, that tells you...
And in one day. Not
Right.
over 4 days, in one day.
Right. So at $100 per user, that would be like 700 million or 100 million people.
It was higher average order value.
However,
For sure.
oh, exactly. It has to be higher because I know that, or we know that, like we said, in China, the demographics are very, very different, between the very wealthy and the very poor. So the very wealthy are spending a lot of money, but there's not that many.
The wealthiest 5% of people in China, which is a lot of people, 5% of
1.4 billion or something.
1.4 billion is like 60 million people. Okay, that's a lot of people.
Right.
Those people are incredibly wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think people still kind of think of China as like a secondary.
No,
like,
it's not a developing country. I mean, it's
not developing, but not as wealthy, and it isn't per capita. It's not as wealthy.
Yeah.
But the top 5% of Chinese people are incredibly wealthy. I mean, these people are worth. I don't know the exact numbers, but if I were to guess, I mean, these people. They're spending expendable income $50,000 a year.
Yeah, they have more not per capita, but millionaires and billionaires than any other.
Billionaires, the U.S. is still number one.
Billionaires, I don't know, but millionaires and 100 millionaires, they have quite a bit. And obviously, it's hard to know those numbers because they're not revealed or anything. But
yeah, the upper middle class and higher in China is incredibly wealthy, and obviously, if you're top 10% in China, that's 130 million people.
It's funny they call it Singles Day because I think it doesn't matter if you're single or not, right? I mean, everybody buys.
Because it's like their Valentine. It's kind of strange how they do it. It's like it's 11/11, which is 1111, and they're very superstitious in Chinese culture. And so it's like that. They call it Singles Day, but then because it's that, it's also like their Valentine's Day and their like all this stuff in one type of thing. So it's just different. It's in their culture, but it's basically their Black Friday.
It's a shopping day. All right,
They don't have Valentine's Day there. It's like if instead of on Valentine's every year of being for couples, it was for single people.
Right.
But obviously it's for everybody. It's not just for that. But yeah.
So speaking of sales, I
We should have a Singles Day here.
I know.
What the heck? It's only for people, couples. Valentine's Day is the worst day if you're single because you just feel lonely.
Oh shit.
And then Why don't we have a Singles Day?
Well, get two lonely people together and then they're hooked up for one day. That's fine. Maybe you should make an app for Valentine's.
No,
singles.
you know what the best strategy
You need
is?
to do
though?
an app that is Valentine's single days without a partner.
You
and
should-
then just get together for one day so you celebrate and then split up again.
No. The best strategy,
Maybe you're
actually,
racist.
if you have a girlfriend, is the week before Valentine's Day, you fake a fight and kind of break up with her, and then the week after Valentine's Day is over, then you get back together. So
Yeah,
you
but
don't
then-
have to spend a bunch of money on
No,
Valentine's
it's even
Day.
worse. Then you have makeup gift, which is even worse, or makeup something else, and it's even worse than Valentine's. So, bad idea. I'm gonna edit that out. That's a bad idea. Bad idea. Anyways, speaking of the top selling items,
When is the holiday where the women have to pay? That's the holiday that I want.
Father's Day or
I
whatever.
want the holiday where women have to buy the men gifts. Why don't I get gifts? I like stuff too.
Well, I don't know.
I want chocolates.
You
Where are
want
my
chocolates?
where are my where's my jewelry?
Yeah, that's right. You want an engagement ring or something?
I'll take a nice watch for sure.
Okay.
Listen, guys like flowers too. Buy me a rose.
Guys, the problem with guys is that they buy their own gifts. They don't wait for anybody to buy them for them. They just have an excuse and say, I bought this. Just make it my next birthday gift. But we just had your birthday. Next one. That doesn't matter. It's just... Anyways, so it's the top selling items this year. I know last year that you guessed them. And we were kind of cheated because we were talking about this before the podcast. But
yeah, last year I guessed it accurately. I was pretty proud of
it
myself.
was a weird item.
This year I did not guess it.
I know, it's funny because they didn't have any item that I thought it was gonna be a top seller. But anyways, this year, one of the top selling items was actually Barack Obama's biography.
I've never seen a book be a top
I
seller
know,
like
me
that.
neither. And I don't know why.
Surprising.
I guess it's the timing because this year is also an election year and the timing of the release of his biography. But yeah,
I didn't think that many people read.
I know. That's the thing I was thinking too. It's like we Americans have the lowest reading percentage per capita that I ever heard. I mean, you never see people reading a book. I don't know. They read a lot of internet and phones shit and stuff, but they don't read books. And all of a sudden, Barack Obama's biography, A Promised Land, is like the best-selling book and one of the best-selling items to the Black Friday. So I like to see all these people.
Pays to be a president.
Definitely.
president.
What is his worth? What was the couple's Barack Obama's
I don't know.
worth?
Many,
like 300
many millions of
I
dollars
think I read
now.
that their net worth now is up to 350 million or something. It's like, wow.
not
I
bad.
want to be president just for the years after being president. Forget about the Secret Service. For life and all that stuff. Anyways, that's one of them. And then the other one is the Amazon's own Echo Dot. I think the new one is like a little bowl or something instead of that flat one over there. And then
hair products.
the other one was the Revlon One-Step Hair Dryer and Volumizer Hot Air Brush.
Listen, even in
That's
a
like
pan-
I don't
even in
even
a
know what that
pandemic,
is.
People still care about their hair.
I know, but that's like
But especially, listen, even if you're on a Zoom call, the thing is, from the waist down, you can look like shit, but your hair has to look good.
yeah. Well, I have my bad hair too this morning, but no, seriously, it's like Revlon One-Step Hair Dryer and Volumizer Hot Air Brush. That's like a sophisticated element. I don't know what that is, but it's basically one of the
It's because you have very short hair your whole life.
Yeah, but it's just like for that being the specific brand to be one of the top selling items, that's pretty unbelievable. So let's switch over to another topic that we gonna talk about frequently, and is we discussed all these sales and how much people are buying and spending money. Where is this money coming from? We are in a situation where we've been under a pandemic for 9 months now, approximately, and then unemployment has been the highest. People are like laid off work, businesses are closing, companies are doing bad because nobody's moving. We're restricted as far as where to go. Salaries are a lot of people are on furlough, whatever. How come we're spending so much money? How come the savings rate can be still above average? I was just looking at statistics. It's not as high as it was back in April. That was the 30-something%, the highest ever been. But we're still at 15%, which is higher, like double what it used to be before pandemic. So if we are not making money and saving more money than normal, where is this money for shopping coming from? Or why is...
So you want to know the secret that most people don't understand about economies and the famous Pareto principle? The majority of spending and the majority of earning in any economy comes from the top 10 to 20%. And if you look at the pandemic, the top 10 to 20% of Americans did very well this year, actually, despite the pandemic. Because even if businesses in certain areas were hurt, a lot of businesses actually did really well. The stock market didn't give a shit. The stock market just flew.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons.
If you were in the top 10 to 20% of Americans this year, if it weren't for the pandemic, right? If you were just looking, if you let's say took a bird's eye view and you were just looking at your personal finances and didn't know anything about what was going on in the world, and you're a top 10%er in America and you just see your personal finances, you'd probably think, oh, this is a pretty good year, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, I have a couple of theories. One is, as you said, stock market.
And so, but let me finish. The top 20% of Americans,
finished.
well, basically the upper middle class and beyond do the majority of spending. Like in the same with e-commerce.
But that's usually the case,
right?
No matter.
But you say, where's all this money coming from? Well, obviously there's a lot of factors. But what is the Fed stimulus? What is the Fed push? Okay, well, the Fed obviously puts a ton of stimulus into bank lending. They're directly buying shares of companies, which is unheard of.
Right.
They're buying corporate bonds. They're basically helping the stock market. That's all they care about. They want the stock market to keep going up. Well, who owns stock in the United States? Poor people do not own stock. Wealthy people do. People with 401ks and then the rich, those are the people who own stock. And those are majority, the top 20% of Americans. The bottom 80% of Americans, maybe some of them do, but even if they do, it's a very small amount that doesn't make a material difference in their lives. So the top 20% of Americans own the majority of the stock in America. And then on top of that, depending on where you work, your company may have done really well. If you work in tech, this is a great year for you. I mean, tech companies did great this year. In fact, they did better than they would have had there not been a pandemic.
Tech did, but there's a number.
If you work in look at us. I mean, in e-commerce did phenomenal this year.
Yes.
The truth is, as bad as it, I don't take any kind of solace in saying this, but like I did well this year just because I happened to work in an area where things were good, not saying that I would ever wish for this to happen, but like, frankly, I did well this year when I know a lot of people didn't. And we did well this year just because we happened to work in a sector that benefited from a pandemic.
Right, but those are, obviously, we have a few exceptions, but my point is that overall, all economies in the world have taken a huge hit. I mean, the debt to GDP ratio is as high as it could be.
But this is a case where the rich got richer and the poor got
poorer. Absolutely.
That's my point. This disproportionately hurts not even the poor. I mean, poor is one thing. Just even if you're
more
middle class, lower middle class.
The middle class that was moving towards the upper middle class are now moved back to the lower middle class.
Yes.
But the thing is, a lot of people in the service sector and all that are basically in bad shape.
Small businesses killed.
So a lot of people that have investments or retirement accounts and 401ks, yes, their 401k has increased in value probably about 20% this year or more. But again, it's a 401k. Unless you're retiring, you're not supposed to remove or withdraw money from your 401k unless you have a necessity, which maybe they are. But that's basically money that you will have more when you retire. So, but your take-home income has decreased, so they don't have that kind of money now. Excuse me. So, I think one of the reasons is that the confinement has also made people indirectly save money. If you were used to going once a week to a restaurant or going once a month or whatever to a weekend trip or
look
whatever.
At it very simply like this. If you have a job where you can work from home, you probably did all right this year. Yeah, sure. Maybe your style of living wasn't what you wanted it to be, but at least financially you were pretty secure if you can work from home. But all the people who can't work from home because their jobs are inherently physical got totally fucked.
Right.
And my point is, those are the people who are hurting, but at the same time, the kind of harsh reality, pandemic or no pandemic, is that the server at a restaurant is not the person who's spending a ton of money on Black Friday.
No, but that's part of the that's part of what I call or is called the velocity of money. You know, you spend $1 in a restaurant, and then that waiter or waitress has this dollar to go and buy something at Best Buy, and then that Best Buy employee can buy something and then go to a restaurant, and I mean, money starts moving. Right now, if we're just let me know, if you're just buying something, and I go to Amazon, that money goes to Washington State or whatever, Amazon headquarters, and stops. It's not, there's no moving money. True. Well, I mean, there's no money moving around in different situations where I pay you for this, and then you have money so you can buy something else and go somewhere else, and then you buy a coffee.
That's not true. I mean, first of all, Amazon this year hired 500,000 people.
I know they did because they didn't have they had to because everybody was buying that. But by virtue of Amazon hiring 500,000 people, like you said, in the last 9 months or whatever. That means that other businesses were not hiring people. And the people that Amazon hired is not like top-level people. They were warehouses, shippers.
Yeah, but you're comparing them to a server at a restaurant.
No, I'm just giving you an example of how money moves. And the only thing I can think is that the person that is normally working, and now, like you said, they're working from home, they're not spending money on gas or clothing because they can work in their shorts and pajamas or whatever. They put a background for Zoom or something. They're not spending money on going to a restaurant, having like a normal happy hour things, normal social life that people will usually have. So all that money is being saved now.
But again, you're talking about discretionary spending.
Yes.
You only have discretionary spending if you're making enough money to cover all of your bills every month and then have a bunch of money left over. If you're a server, if you're a warehouse worker, if you're any of these people, you don't have a lot of discretionary spending. So that kind of theory breaks apart. The majority of your money goes to paying your rent, your electricity,
yes, you're a
your
paycheck
car
to paycheck
payment.
person. You're paying your loans,
Right,
your rent, all that stuff.
That's when you talk about I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say a third at least of American workers.
Well, that's my point.
Those people, they're not the ones who go and spend $300 on Black Friday normally.
So that's my point. So is these numbers that we have here, are there, like we just said in China, 70 billion in revenues is because the top 5% are spending all that money, and the rest
it's the same here.
Is the same thing here now?
Yeah.
That we're having this illusion that the economy is not doing so bad, and the stock market is up in record numbers.
I don't know what the exact number is, but if I had to bet, I would completely bet that the top 20% of Americans, like the 80-20 rule, top 20% of Americans did 80%, if not more, of all the spending on Black Friday. And that's always the case, by the way. That's not unique to this year. That's always the case.
Right.
Because they have discretionary spending. If you don't have discretionary spending, if you make, whatever, if you're a top 20% of America, let's say you make $200,000 a year and your expenses as far as mortgage, car, all that is 80, okay, and then you have 120 grand left over, obviously taxes, whatever, you still have a ton of money. If you're making 30 grand a year, you have no discretionary spending, or you have very, very little, because you need that money just to pay for your car payment, your rent, all the basic shit.
What I don't get is that you move
and of
around.
course, people
drive
go into
around
debt too. The other thing is, when people of lower middle class do have discretionary spending, a lot of times it's debt. It's not actually that they can afford.
Well,
it.
but that's the thing. The savings rate, unless people are having a lot of debt and savings, which is
I don't know. I didn't see I don't know how the savings rate is calculated. Is it calculated on a median or an average? Because that's a big difference.
No, I mean it's the I don't know. It's the number from Statistica, but it's basically personal saving rate in the United States from June 2015 to October 2020, and it doesn't give you specifics. Personal saving rate in the United States was 13.6, down from a higher 33. Saving refers to strategies of accumulating capital for future use by either not spending a part of one's income or cutting down on certain costs, basically savings. So
so the savings rate could have increased. I'm sure it increased for a lot of people who used to work in an office and now work at home.
Well, I mean, it peaked in April when it was the beginning of the pandemic, as we know it. Like people were freaking out after March and
Right.
saying, "Okay,
So,
we're
yeah,
gonna start
that's what I was
saving."
gonna say.
And then
First of
once
all,
things start, the stimulus
in
package
bad
came.
times, people save more. I mean, this is just known. Anytime you have some
Sure.
type of
No,
crisis,
uncertainty.
people
Yeah.
stop spending.
Right, and
Right.
that's when the majority of the layoffs started to happen.
And then also on top of that, all the people who now work from home, who don't commute, who don't go out for lunch every day, who spend less on clothing and makeup and all these things, that's savings too. But I don't know if that's, when they say the savings rate, I just don't know how it's calculated. I'm not denying that it's not true. I'm just saying I don't know how it's calculated. And I'm sure the majority of savings, again, went to the top 20% of Americans, not the bottom 80. That's my point.
But the thing is, again, the other thing that I like to see what is, what I read versus real life. And obviously, we live in Phoenix. I don't know how we compare to the rest of the country. To be honest, the pandemic here has been very relaxed. I haven't seen many restrictions. I've seen, obviously, stores closed and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, back in April,
but as far as
May,
mobility,
May was definitely, it was, everything was closed and the
yeah,
streets
but we
empty.
were never here restricted to go out. And
No,
do
it wasn't a hard
activities.
lockdown in that sense, but yeah, I mean,
Right.
all the restaurants and stuff were closed.
Sure.
But by July, everything was back open
Right.
again.
So right now, if you drive anywhere in Phoenix, I mean, it's no.
Oh
different.
yeah. Restaurants are full.
Restaurants are pretty
yeah.
full.
It's normal.
Traffic is a mess like it used to be, with normal rush hours. Like people are going somewhere. If they're not going to their offices, I don't know where they're
Gyms
going.
are open. I mean,
Yeah, everything
here
is,
we don't have a lot of restrictions.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
there's nothing that you can see. Oh, we're in a pandemic. I mean, yeah, people wear masks when they go inside loosely too. But all of that is like, okay, I don't see that. So I something is just not. To me, something just doesn't mesh. Like I see all this. Oh, the economy is doing bad. Where are we in a completely fake economy? Where
Well,
I mean, seriously.
I mean,
If you come from nowhere and I throw you in the downtown Phoenix or any other major city, I mean, at least here is what we know.
yeah, I mean, it depends.
And I say,
like,
hey,
Phoenix
keep
is
in mind
open,
that
but LA just yesterday said they're going full lockdown again, like hard
right,
lockdown.
understood. And
Now, I don't know how much it's going to be enforced because apparently a lot of like the LAPD said we're not going to enforce this. Like we're not going to tell people to go home. We don't care.
and
Like
this
they
is
were
the
closing
thing.
beaches and stuff again. They said we're not going to do that. you
Yeah,
know?
and now we come with the holiday season. They said restrictions, no gatherings. We had Thanksgiving just last weekend, and they said, okay, they're recommending people not to travel. The CDC said the same thing. It's one recommendation. It's not like saying, okay, do not travel. I mean, you go to the airports now, they're pretty full. You drive by the airport, there's a lot of cars going in, a lot of cars going out. People are not listening to that stuff. So either we are or we're not. And at the same time, stock market is in record highs. We're still, you hear on the other side, Americans desperately need a stimulus package. Okay, we're going to print more money to give it to Americans. But it doesn't seem like Americans are, I mean, if they were like, I'm desperate
Yeah,
to
but
go
I think
out.
you're not like I said, you're looking at the stock market is completely unrepresentative of the economy.
No, but that's what I'm saying, that I'm looking at the street market, okay? And I don't see Americans that are like in a restaurant saying, oh, shoot. I mean, restaurants are actually more expensive now. They have surcharges for COVID
Yeah.
cleaning shit, whatever they call it, okay? So I've been going to restaurants, a number of them for a while, and I know they're more expensive now because they charge you because now they have to wipe every table with this whatever antimicrobial thing every now and then, and all this, they pass it to the consumer. So they increase their prices 10-15% just out of the box, just to cover their expenses for extra cleaning, thinking, okay, well, you should be doing that kind of cleaning before too. It's nothing new. I mean, just disinfect the table after each customer, So I'm not talking about Wall Street. That's one thing that we know is just, okay, the Fed is even buying everything. But Main Street is what I'm saying, that I don't see Americans being like holding on and not going out or anything because they don't have cash and we need another stimulus package. It's like they're saying, oh, it's going to be real bad for Christmas. It's like, okay, well, people are buying online, people are going out, restaurants are full, traffic is a mess, everybody's filling their cars with fuel, shopping, this, that. What is not working there? Because I don't see a difference now between November, December 2020 and maybe January 2020 before the pandemic. We're all buying, shopping, restaurants, all that stuff. I don't know. Something just doesn't.
Well, there's one big difference. The Fed increased the monetary supply by 40% in that time.
Yes, that's exactly.
They printed 40 cents for every dollar
Yes,
in 8 months.
I understood. But
That's insane.
it is insane.
The only reason we don't...
But the thing is that they still want to do more.
We would have... I mean, if we did that in a normal time, we would have hyper inflation. The only reason we don't have that is because it was counteracted by the deflationary cycle of basically mass unemployment and complete GDP drop over the last 6 months. But as it recovers, as things go back to normal, as we have a vaccine, as we have more testing, and basically things go back to normal in 2021, that inflation is going to kick in. And then trust me, when the thing that you were used to buying that normally costs you $10 is $15, and the thing that normally was $100 is $150, you're gonna notice that.
I completely get that, and I know it will happen. And there's over
And the
conclusions
restaurant
to
that normally you go to, and the average plate is $20, and now all of a sudden it's $30, you're gonna notice that.
Right. So as we're talking, we're still here, Pelosi and McConnell and all that
Keep in
stuff.
mind, a lot of economic, when you have such a massive economy, it's not like reactions are instant. Okay, it's not like the Fed prints money or the basically provides massive stimulus in shady ways, and that you instantly see results from that. It's a lot of times these results are delayed. The peak of the mortgage corruption in the 2000s was in like 2005, 2006. Now, the economy didn't collapse until a few years later, but those effects are already happening.
No, I get that.
And my point is, we're not seeing necessarily the hard hyperinflation effects yet.
But
by 2022,
no, I understand that.
we will.
That's inflation. We understand that. But I'm just talking about. But let me.
You said, do we live in a fake economy? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, then, where are people spending their money? I mean, how are they getting the money to spend? Because if I go to a store and it's pretty full, if people if they're restricted from going physically to a store and they buy online and they spend, $10 billion just on Amazon in one day and all that. So people are spending money,
But
credit
again,
cards,
like I
whatever.
said,
And now basically we see that Congress, basically Pelosi and McConnell are getting together for a $1 trillion stimulus, for more PPP loans, and more stimulus, and more unemployment allowances, and for people that are obviously unemployed. But okay, well, if we have such a big unemployment issue, and you're sending $600 a week or a month or a week actually to unemployed people, or maybe they're reducing to 5 or 4 or 3 or whatever, we're basically paying people to stay home. And they're spending that money. So we're
I'm not
reviving the economy.
disagreeing that we could have done that better, but I'm saying the broader. You say looking at Black Friday spending is not a good gauge of the economy. Is my point.
I'm not looking at Black Friday. That's just the example that we have right now. I'm just looking at every day Friday or every Monday, looking at the streets. I mean,
Yeah, but do you live in a poor neighborhood? No.
Do I live what?
Do you live in a poor neighborhood?
No.
Okay, so you don't. When you're going out in the streets, you're not living in a poor or lower middle class
No,
neighborhood.
I move around the city. I mean, I go to all kinds of neighborhoods. Now, there are cities like New York that is basically fucked. I mean, all the hotels are closed, the stores are closed, and then they have more issues. I mean, there's still a lot of places that are closed. But that's the thing, that it's almost like a state-by-state thing. Some states decide that, things are fucked up, we need to close everything, for whatever political, health reason, whatever, combination of both. And somewhere they say, no, we're fine. I mean, even in sports, you see the same thing. I mean, the NBA had the bubble, super restricted, whatever. The NFL is like, oh, no, we're fine. You watch Dallas Cowboys game, it's like, stadium is like 25%, 30%, 40% full. I don't know, whatever the numbers they are. Nothing happens. You go to other ones that are completely empty, And then some teams have all these cases and they push the game. Oh, we're going to push the game to 2 days or maybe 3, maybe 4. It's like, everybody's doing their own thing, So I just think that we lack this cohesiveness as far as, knowing exactly where we are. I honestly don't understand, with my knowledge of how the economy works, I don't understand why our economy is working now. Why our market, for one, obviously, I understand that part, that is record highs. I mean, we weren't probably going to have a record high if the economy was fine, and we have it during COVID.
Because they pumped trillions
Yes,
into it.
exactly. So I understand the Fed is.
Look at corporate bond yields. They're at zero.
Yes, no, I understand that.
They're at zero.
But let me.
Companies can borrow for 0% interest. If you're a big corporation, you can go get a $5 billion loan for 0% interest right now.
Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
Let me. Okay, so another topic that
It's fake.
you are very knowledgeable about.
That's
okay,
my point.
so another.
By the way, get out of corporate bonds if you're into it.
Another-
Not financial advice, but I wouldn't be in it.
Another element that is hitting records now, as you know very well, is
Some you know how the famous like treasury bonds, they call it risk-free return. Like
yeah,
well, the corporate bond, the good joke is it's return-free risk.
yeah, okay, very good.
You didn't laugh at my joke.
Well, some serious not a joke for some people, but let me ask you about Bitcoin. Okay, yes, this is going to be probably our maybe final topic. So Bitcoin is also hitting record highs, and this is probably what you said. Who buys Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a very restricted asset. We know there's a limit number of, and we had a whole podcast about cryptos and everything else. So Bitcoin is restricted 21 million, 21, right? Million Bitcoins that will be issued at some point. We're still at 18 million or something. And now it's almost just under, I mean, it's been hitting under 20,000 for a while. It went down over Thanksgiving. It went back up, right? Today it's about 19.5 or something. But it's as high as it's been in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
All-time high.
However, gold, who's the safe haven when things go bad, it's not. I mean, it's higher than it was in June, but it reached a peak about a month and a half ago at about 1950 or something like that an ounce, and now it went as far down as 1700. Also, during Thanksgiving, now it's up to 1800 and change or whatever an ounce, basically $1,800. So when Bitcoin prices go up, it's because there's more demand and there's obviously a limited supply. So again, if people don't have money, how come they're buying Bitcoin, or are just the same wealthy people that are invested in Bitcoin?
Of course.
Because
You think, of course, who do you think is buying Bitcoin?
no, I mean, I just basically I'm giving you an overall question of who is buying Bitcoin. I mean, I know of a lot of people that have little money that put a bunch of money into Bitcoin just because it was their bet. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're broke and you're buying Bitcoin, that's not
back in 3 years ago, 16, 17, when Bitcoin had the all-time high back then, we know of students that were buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
okay. If you have anecdotal idiots.
No. That's not anecdotal. That was a lot
It
of
is
places.
anecdotal. It's okay. Yeah. Were there some idiots who took a huge risk and lost? Yeah. You know, people go to casinos and lose a bunch of money every day too. Okay. I can't speak to individuals who are done with their money. I'm talking on the mass.
Okay. Well, how do you
When
know that
Bitcoin-
now there's not a bunch of idiots that are doing the same thing? Do you have an account of who's buying Bitcoin these days? Because back then we found out about the idiots when Bitcoin went from 19,000 to 6.
Yeah,
then we
because-
found out a bunch of idiots were basically
'Cause you know-
paid for their college education with Bitcoin, and then they were in freaking heavy debt.
Yeah, because.
So how do we know that that's not the case now?
Let me finish.
Yeah, I'm just giving you my case, but
Yeah, I mean, listen, kids go on fucking Robinhood and trade options with leverage every day. Okay, nobody's saying shit about that. So people are always going to do dumb things with their money. I can't control that. That's not an argument for or against any financial asset. In 2017, when it was at the peak of the hype cycle and getting massive coverage everywhere, and everybody thought, oh, this is get rich quick, very similar to the dot-com bubble back in the day when a bunch of people lost money in the dot-com bubble. You're always going to have things like that. If people want to take crazy risk, listen, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. If you're broke and then you're taking out a $10,000 loan to buy Bitcoin, that's probably pretty dumb. But when you look at Bitcoin, that's over 350 billion market cap now. No, the broke college student is not the majority of that. Okay, in fact, it's less than 1%. Okay, the majority of it these days, one of the reasons why it's growing so much is because institutions with billions of dollars are buying Bitcoin. That's what moves the market, not fucking college kids.
So why? Okay, I understand that, but why would PayPal now say we're going to start taking Bitcoin as as a trade currency for our platform. Because that's not the rich people that go to PayPal and buy and sell shit. That's for the average person.
Sure,
That's for the
sure.
younger guy that says, "Oh, I
I'm
have
talking.
one."
You're talking about what moves the market in Bitcoin. What moves the market in any market, in any highly liquid market? The whales, always. Where you have the
Yes.
market makers in the stock market.
Yes,
you have
I-
it.
I
mean,
know
the
that,
majority of Bitcoin is owned by large funds, plain and simple.
But
So they're the market.
But for
movers.
PayPal and companies
Yeah,
like
they're
that
gonna
to
do these
decide,
things. Well-
we're going to start accepting Bitcoin as a currency. Okay, so institutions are not going to go, oh, I'm going to buy this little gadget, pay with PayPal and pay with my Bitcoin. That's for the average consumer. They're making it more
they're
mainstream.
PayPal. Why does PayPal do that? Because PayPal is a business and they always need to adapt. The truth is, if Bitcoin succeeds, you don't need PayPal. So it's
Exactly.
kind of like a PR play almost more than
PayPal
anything.
is almost like
but-
another wallet, basically. But
No, it's not a wallet. That's for
it's
sure.
not. But I mean, yeah, you can have your money there.
Sure, but the
they're gonna-
point of a wallet is to have
No,
it not controlled by a third-party entity.
Well-
Especially PayPal, for God's sake. PayPal is one of the worst.
I know this. I know
PayPal will
PayPal, but
fuck
basically
you
they're acting like
15
that.
ways.
They will say, okay, you're gonna pay with your credit card A, credit card B, or this account, and then you're gonna say, or your Bitcoin funds, or Ethereum, because
they do that
the same
they
thing.
take a fee.
Right, I know,
convert
I know.
it.
But when PayPal does this, because they see the benefit, and
Sure,
they
of
say, okay,
course.
well, Joe Average is not gonna have a Bitcoin because only these very wealthy investors have it. So why PayPal?
No,
is gonna
right
do that?
now, the majority of right now, I would guess less than 1% of the American population owns Bitcoin. And so the positive side of that is, well, look at how much Bitcoin has grown, despite the fact that 99% of people do not own any. What does Bitcoin look like if 10% of the population owns Bitcoin? It'd be massive. But what's your kind of question?
What was my question?
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering again
Like,
because
why
we're
did
talking,
Bitcoin go up this year? Is that your question? Or
No, why did it go up? No, this year. Why did it go up so much in the last 60 days? Because if you look at the chart of Bitcoin,
like I said, delayed effects. I mean, things don't always happen like that. Just because something, the peak of the mortgage lending was in 2005, 2006. The crash didn't happen until 2008, right? So things don't always happen instantly. So peak inflation was probably over the summer, and then it took a few months before Bitcoin started going up. And your question comparing to gold, I mean, Bitcoin just has much higher beta than gold. Bitcoin is earlier this year's market cap was at 150 billion. Gold's market cap is somewhere between 7 and 10 trillion. So the amount of money that needs to be put into Bitcoin is to move it high percentages is much less than gold.
yeah, I'm gonna show you the. This is the Bitcoin chart over the year to date, but if you look at the last
Right, I can
3 months,
Right.
that's basically my question. We were talking about liquidity and all that stuff, and this is
go back. Yeah,
this is basically how Bitcoin has raised. So I was wondering who's buying this, and a
a
lot of
lot of people, but the majority is institutions. I mean, at the end of the day, Joe Schmo buying 1 or 2 Bitcoin is not moving the market. The market is moved when
Well,
an
there's a bunch of Joe Smos, then is moving the
yeah,
market.
of course it matters, but the truth is, when BlackRock comes out and says we're thinking about putting billions of dollars into Bitcoin, and you have a lot Paul Tudor Jones saying, yeah, we own 1% of, we put 1%.
No,
of
I
our
get
portfolio.
that. And Citibank
Right, so
said, and Citibank or Citi saying, was it Citibank or?
their analysts,
Yeah.
they said 300,000 price
Yeah.
target. I don't know.
Right.
Analysts
Who
say a lot of
who
things.
knows when.
But yeah, I mean, when you have a fund, when you have large funds that then say, oh, we're going to put a percentage of our money in Bitcoin now. Well, when you're a huge fund, a small percentage is billions of dollars. That's what moves the market. Now, I'm not saying that a bunch of individuals can't, but it's no different than in the stock market. Listen, ultimately, the funds move the market. The funds control the market. It's that simple.
All right.
And then as far as compared to gold, it's just Bitcoin is a much lower market cap entity than gold is. Very simple. And gold is up a lot. Like gold is up a lot for the year for what gold is. Gold is an incredibly involatile asset. It's supposed to be involatile. It's supposed to be an inflation hedge for the most part. That's what gold is. And so gold is up. How much is gold up for the year still? Like 30%? That's a ton.
I
for
wouldn't say
gold.
30. It's probably more like maybe now it used to, but now it's probably down to 20. But yeah, it's still
Even
up.
that is still a lot.
Right.
And I think gold is going to go up even more.
But when people when you look at the and I'm just giving you, I'm trying to understand people's mentality as far as the economy and security and feeling safe with their money and all that stuff. So when you see Bitcoin going up and gold in the opposite direction at the same time, it means that people used to buy gold, like you said, for like a safe haven, saying, okay, well, there's so much inflation, the Fed is printing dollars like crazy, all that stuff. I'm gonna have some gold that has some value, and then gold started going down. That makes that people are basically selling gold because they say, oh, well, things are not so bad. I don't need that much gold. My dollar is gonna be buying all that stuff, even though the dollar is much weaker now.
Yeah, but you can't.
The dollar index is also
you're
down.
over focusing on short-term price movements. I mean, gold being down a little bit over a few weeks it means nothing. I mean, things move up and down all the time.
Well, it's not so much about a few weeks. It's that at the same time that Bitcoin and the market and everything is going up, gold is going down, where the dollar is also going down. The dollar index basically is down. The dollar value is down. I actually follow the dollar-euro exchange, and we're saying always that the euro is not going to last. Well, now the dollar trades at 121, 122 with the euro, when it used to be like 110. 6 months ago. So we've basically lost exchange value with the euro for whatever reason. Obviously, because we're printing so much money that there's so much availability of dollars right now. So, but I'm just trying to see what all that happens for a reason, you know. So,
not always. Not in short term.
Well,
there is randomness to the market. You know, just because something goes up a little bit one day and down the next, that is honestly for the most part irrelevant. But I'm not talking about
one day. I mean, we're seeing that growth over 3 months. So my bottom line is that people are spending money that they don't have. That's basically it. And for them to do that, they must be feeling safe, even though maybe they feel safe because the future, we have the vaccine coming, we have all these other things. They say, okay, 2021 is around the corner. 2020 has been shit. We're just going to forget about it, and then it's going to go back to normal. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they say, okay, vaccine is here. We have 3-4 companies that say it's 95% safe. We'll have to just take a shot on something to go back to work, or to go back to airplanes, to go back to hotels, to go back to whatever, you know? So maybe that's the case. They say, okay, fuck it. We missed 2020. We got some money from the government, whatever, and now we're going to go back. If that's the case, that's fine. Maybe that people feel safe, and then if I feel safe, I spend money because I know I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to be able to pay my debt. If I don't feel safe, it's when I start saving money, thinking, oh, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, that's just normal human psychology. So I think the reason why people are going out, restaurants and this and that is because, A, they feel safe, healthy, as far as the coronavirus, it's fine. It's not so lethal. I mean, I may get it, whatever, but, you know, whatever. They just kind of care less about it. And B, they feel like if they spend the money, it's not going to be such a big issue they're going to regret in 2 months. That's my psychology of money. People are feeling like it's fine to spend it. And if that's the case, that's fine. You know, I mean, I don't have any other explanation for people. You know, that's why I kind of in the beginning I said I like to see the total number. So yeah, we know people are gonna buy online. That's more common because we've shifted the scale to buying online more than before. But when we look at the global numbers, are we gonna be way below consumer confidence for buying online that were a year ago? I'm sure, like you said, maybe yes. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait for that. So, all right. Any other comments?
No, gold versus Bitcoin. I'm so tired of this debate. It's just two different assets.
No, I don't want to compare gold and Bitcoin.
No, not just you. Lots of people are always comparing gold and Bitcoin. Listen, gold has been around for thousands of years. Gold isn't going anywhere. Gold is a great hedge, okay? Gold is a great hedge. Don't buy gold if you're looking to quadruple your money, okay? Because unless the world's fucking ending, it's not going to happen, okay? And even then, I'd rather the world not end and my gold be worth less than the world end and my gold be a lot. So compare, Bitcoin is 10 years old. Gold is 10,000 years old. Very simple. Bitcoin is worth I mean, now it's worth more, but still, Bitcoin's market cap is 300 something billion. Gold is somewhere between 7 and 10 trillion. Okay, so yeah, gold is not gonna double. No, and like I said, unless the world fucking ends, gold isn't doubling like
Even
that.
if that's the case,
It's not gonna move like Bitcoin will. Bitcoin has the opportunity. The only question is, will Bitcoin take a chunk out of gold's market cap? Honestly, maybe. I don't think so though. Not in a major way.
Yeah, I don't think people will sell gold to say, "Oh, I'm gonna sell my gold and buy Bitcoin." I don't think people are doing that. I mean, you have.
It may happen, but quite frankly, I just think we're gonna have so much inflation that it doesn't matter. That
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I mean, I think get ready for 5 to 10% annual inflation in the United States for the
you
next
don't-
decade.
You don't believe that we're ever gonna go back to the gold standards, as some of these groups.
Not
are.
unless, I mean, never say never, but not unless there's some major regime change. Almost really. I mean, quite frankly, regime change is what it would take to go back to a gold standard.
globally, not just in one country.
Yeah, I'm talking the U.S. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Janet Yellen yesterday was talking about like using the treasury to benefit like racial segregation. I don't know what the fuck she was talking about.
I don't know why now all of a sudden the Treasury Secretary and
these
the Fed
people are the biggest
like buddies.
fucking liar.
Yeah.
She's talking about how basically like I was saying, lower income and lower middle class were disproportionately affected, and a lot of those people are minorities, and so minorities were disproportionately affected by the pandemic. And I said, yeah, but you are the motherfuckers who pump up the stock market and do nothing for the lower middle class. So I don't want to fucking hear it. It's your fucking fault. When you do massive inflation.
No, it wasn't her. She's gonna fix it.
What benefits it with inflation? What goes up in value a lot? Real assets, okay? Stocks, real estate, all these things. What gets hurt? People who have the majority of their money in cash and don't own hard assets. Who are the people that have
who can't afford to buy any.
who can't afford to buy assets? Who are the people that don't own assets?
I know. I always
Poor
say that.
people.
It's like
So I don't. Janet Yellen, you can take your minorities were disproportionately affected,
political
and you
bullshit
can shove it up your old crusty fucking ass,
Okay,
Janet
dude.
Yellen. Seriously, I don't want to hear any of that shit.
David.
These people are crooks. Alan Greenspan, Janet Yellen, all these people should be.
I know,
in
but that's the
jail.
thing. Like when you, it's like I always say.
500 years ago, these people would have been hung in the streets for their crimes, and now they get the cover of Atlantic magazine.
If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you don't have a penny to spare, and somebody says, "Hey, you can buy this Mercedes for $1,000, a fucking smoking deal," it's like, I don't have $1,000. So then, the wealthy guy is gonna buy a smoking deal.
I wouldn't buy
and that's why the
Mercedes as an investment. Mercedes are
Well,
probably
okay,
in
I'm
fact
just
a
giving you an
terrible
example.
investment.
But the point is that all these deals do not help people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
course.
They don't help him because I don't care how cheap things are. If I don't have money, I don't have money. I can buy it. Whereas the richer people or the wealthier people are the ones who can take advantage of buying these
But
things
not
that I
only
don't
that,
sell now
not
at a
only
lower
that,
price because of
when you
whatever.
have massive inflation and all of your money is in cash, and all of a sudden you're
Yeah,
used
your
to spending
buying power is-
$1,000 a month on this certain thing, and now that $1,000 a month costs $1,200 a month, but you're still making the same amount of money, you get fucked.
Yeah, we understand.
Very
I
simply.
mean,
I know I'm being kind of harsh with my words, but I'm so tired of these politicians. And then on top of that, you have the governor of California and the mayor of San Francisco going to the same goddamn 3-star Michelin restaurant that costs $100 a plate. And then the mayor of Austin, did you see that?
No,
The mayor of Austin a few days ago, he gives a video speech saying people need to stay home and stay confined. You know where from? His Airbnb in Cabo San Lucas, where he flew on a private jet with his family to get there, but he's telling people they shouldn't travel. All these people can go fuck themselves.
Bad mayor.
That's it. So what's going to take to go back to a gold standard? What's going to take to have sanity in this country? Regime change. fire everybody, literally everybody.
So you don't think Biden is gonna fix it?
AOC comes out and creates a Shopify store and has a fucking sweatshirt that says "Eat the Rich" and it costs $60 to buy the sweatshirt. These people can go fuck themselves. That's the answer.
So hold it, calm down.
That's my rant
so
of the day.
You think? Yeah, I'm gonna definitely make that a highlight. You think? You think?
Clip it?
You think Biden and Kamala Harris are gonna be able to fix this?
They don't care about you. They don't care about you.
I know they don't care about me, but about the rest of the country.
They don't care about you. They care about power. That's all they want. They want power. And they'll say anything and do anything to get it. They don't care about you.
Just tell Biden not to play with his dogs. He broke his foot. He's going to be on a boot for a while. He's going to be recovering. So, anyways, David, thank you for...
And both sides, by the way. Mitch McConnell doesn't give a fuck about you just as much as Kamala Harris, just as much as Nancy Pelosi, just as much as fucking Dan Crenshaw, who's supposed to be the next great conservative. And he's like, oh, we should go have more wars in the Middle East. That's what we should do. They can all fuck themselves, both sides.
So, by the way, the elections are not really technically over yet. I mean, as we know, we have it kind of, Trump hasn't considered yet, and we still have two major Senate seats in dispute or going to runoffs in Georgia in January. So we'll see what happens with that. So anyways, enough of a comeback for us after a week off. I think David had like tons of energy, man. I don't know what you have for breakfast this morning, but it just gave you all this, it should be a sponsor, whatever it is, because it definitely worked. I'm not going to ask you have anything else to say because I said that 10 minutes ago and you just basically ranted. This thing is off the charts. It's in the red. It's like crazy.
I'm going to go meditate after this.
You are?
I think
okay.
I need to.
You get your app and if it works, that's going to be a seller. All right, guys.
Clearly, I'm an example of meditation working.
Yeah, we'll see after. Anyways, this is it for today. Thank you for listening, watching. If you're all the way to the end, good for you. If you're not, you just missed.
This is why you should stay till the end, because the best stuff is always in the last like 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's the climax. All right. Thanks, guys. And we'll definitely be back next week if somebody doesn't come and cuts David's head or something. All right. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the weekend and talk to you soon.